Motl held his hands out. Guess which one? Esther looked thoughtfully at the back of each of his pale hands in turn, as if she could read what was within. After a minute of dramatic chin holding and deeply thoughtful face squinching, she announced, "This one," and tapped the knuckles of his left hand. Motl smiled and turned his hand over, opening his fingers in ostentatious display, and dropped the testicle. They watched with dread as it toppled over the cliff, then buffeted from crag to crag. It didn't take Motl and Esther's warmer route through the forest and meadow, but instead followed the colder route of the glacier. Rolling, it began to collect snow. Though it became more and more distant, its size remained the same, for it became larger as the snow collected around it, then larger still, until it was rolling over the snowy crags above the village. Take the snow of a mountainside and roll it like a carpet. Take this entire carpet, a vast crystalline cabbage roll, and compact each end, turn it into a ball, a frozen somersaulting cherub, a scoop as large as a house. It was an icy comet hurtling toward the village. A torpedo released from Motl's hand high above had attained near limitless mass, incalculable velocity, and became a snow angel of death, its frosty scythe like an eyeball, looking both everywhere and nowhere. The snow had mobbed around Motl's single clacker, and it rolled. Fat man, little boy, Dame Fortuna. It rolled. And in its wake, the snow on the crags began to unsettle, to dislodge. By the time the immeasurable colossus of this murderous snowball, with Motl's earnest and unaware single ghibli at its center, thumped blindly into the village, it was followed by an avalanche. His scudding Boychik body slammed the buildings, chimneys, gables, the roofs, windows, walls, stairs, its pension and small outbuildings all crumpled, toppled over, destroyed. And then the torrent from the mountains buried the village.
I spent another fretful, shivering night, unable to get either comfortable or warm, and managed to sleep just as a thin gray dawn was starting to filter into my room. I startled awake a pitifully short amount of time later by my morning nurse, who sang hello to me and plopped a huge fruit basket down on the table next to my bed. "This came for you, isn't that exciting?" She stared at me expectantly. I flailed and cursed. Every time I got any sleep at all, even just nodding off for a moment, I woke up stickier, smellier, more physically abject than I was before. My leg was stained with iodine for when they had prepped my skin for surgery, and my skin had broken out everywhere the adhesive from the surgical tape had touched me. I felt like 1/3 of my body was a rash. The back of my hands were the worst, aching from the IVs and seeping lymph. There was no fruit basket yet created on this hell earth that would have been capable of making me excited. Batting away the cellophane, careful not to disturb any of the tubes attached to me, I fished between the apples and fig jam and a tiny box of artisanal crackers until I found a card tucked between the leaves of a pineapple. It was emblazoned with the familiar eel and trident logo of Electroforce, and I felt a sudden surge of warmth toward E. He might have placed me in harm's way, but at least he cared. Maybe when I returned to work, I thought I could negotiate dental coverage. I opened the envelope. It was not the get well soon card I expected, but an HR document typed neatly on official company letterhead. I was thanked for my good work, told I had been a valuable resource under difficult circumstances. However, since my injury meant I would be recovering indefinitely and my employer found themselves in a state of flux, they were regretfully severing my contract. In acknowledgement of your service and efforts while under our employ, a standard reference letter will be placed on your agency file. Once you're able to seek employment again, please feel free to submit a new application to Electroforce Industries. I held the letter nervously, staring into the middle distance, and could barely muster a reaction when June entered the room with a small duffel bag over one shoulder. She drew up short when she saw my face, and I held the letter out to her, unable to come up with anything to say. It wasn't often I got to see June speechless. Her quick-witted viciousness was one of her best qualities. But in that moment, staring at the huge fruit basket on the side table near my hospital bed, her powers left her. I sipped some lukewarm ginger ale through a bendy straw and basked in her outraged shock. She opened her mouth to say something, then closed it again.
I turned to concentrate on the bright green sheen of the table. Nothing could disturb me, not even the distraction of the PA system that suddenly crackled to life above me. "Line 1 for Mike Shintani," growled a voice that sounded like a hungover Tom Waits. I ignored the summons and continued lining up the shot. sliding my cue back and forth between my fingers, again, taking aim as I peered through the cigarette smoke fog. Yo, Shintani, answer that damn phone, Waits insisted from behind his counter. Dave Watanabe, my opponent, partner in ride, backed him up. You better get that. I scratched off the pink, -6 points. Yeah, this is Mike, I answered on a convenient wall phone. What is it? Hi, it's Kathy. Oh, hi, Kath. How'd you know I was here? Where else would you be on a Friday night? Dave with you? Yeah, he just finished the double shift. Did you read about Boku, she said, unusually quick on the draw. Where? Another pocket of silence. In tonight's Daily Star. Boku's in the paper? Yes, listen to this. Kathy read the article slowly in that precise yet hesitating way she had, like the way she sits upright, so straight it puts a ruler to shame. She always stopped cold between sentences as if thinking about what to say next. A Toronto Canadian-Japanese man says he robbed the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce at the corner of Dundas and Spadina to defend the honor of his grandfather, who was interned during World War II. 25-year-old Kenneth Sugiura told district court that he is willing to go to jail for 10 years to protest the treatment 20,000 Japanese Canadians received in World War II. Sugiura had quit the Faculty of Architecture at the University of British Columbia in order to come back to Toronto to begin a business based on a new computer program he had developed while living in Vancouver. Bail has been set at $100,000. Are you kidding me? Are you saying that's Boku? Sounds like him. Yeah, but I can't believe it. Has he lost his mind? What kind of a loser? Michael, Kathy chided abruptly. This has got to be some kind of joke. You know, Boku. Kathy started crying softly. I imagined her gently curved eyes squeezed shut. Their ex-fiance was known for his practical joke, but this was beyond the pale. Kenneth Boku Sugiura was born in the working-class ghetto of Spadina and Dundas, but raised in the unremarkable suburb of Agincourt in western Scarborough, an enclave of accidental parks, split-level bungalows, and well-equipped schools. Like me, he had made his way through a conventional education to university.
Trees with wide green tops and thick, rugged trunks line the campus as dirt paths curve and swirl between buildings surrounded by colorful flowers. You all right? Josephine says. Two girls in white aprons stroll by, staring and pushing a cart packed with cleaning supplies. You hardly said anything over lunch. You've hardly said anything at all, she says. I'm all right, I say, trying to smile. But I keep thinking about Cape Town and Mother and what lies ahead for me now. You should consider yourself lucky. Other academies are not as nice as this, she says. Trust me, it could be much worse. You're lucky they sent you here, Alamina. I want to tell her that I've never felt lucky, especially now, but maybe I've got it all wrong. I thought it was unlucky to grow up in Cape Town where no one looked like me, where my face and my ex disgusted everyone. Now I'm not so sure. Maybe I was lucky then, and now I'm not. Or maybe what I've always known somewhere deep inside me is really true after all. Maybe I was born unlucky, marked for a horrible life. Along the path, two boys inspecting a tree stop to watch us. Why is everyone staring? I say after we pass them. People always stare at new kids, Josephine says. I can't imagine anyone's ever met a project kid before. Someone who's lived out there with mainlanders, like a mainlander. Word travels fast around here. Josephine stops in front of a large statue of a man hunched over a cane, his glasses angled down on the tip of his nose. A plaque under his feet reads, Mr. Henry Livingstone, founder of Livingstone Academy, a man dedicated to the growth and development of gutter children pursuing greatness. Have you ever seen such an ugly mug? Josephine says. And for the first time, we both smile at the same time. The only statues in Cape Town were of General Colin Covey, the founder and father of the mainland, whose name appeared all over town. There was Covey Court and Covey Lane and the C1 Covey Overpass, which connected Cape Town to towns all along the Sunset Coast and throughout the mainland. Unlike Henry Livingstone, General Covey was incredibly handsome, as though his sharp jaw, broad shoulders, and black wavy hair destined him to be powerful, as though he was meant to be carved in stone. Inside schools and hospitals and every mainland government building, there were paintings and statues of Covey, featuring his most famous words, "For the greatness of the country." Whenever Mother and I went on walks, mainlanders would say those words with tense expressions, their eyes fixed on me. For the greatness of the country, they would say to Mother, in a way that sounded more like a warning. For the greatness of the country, she'd mutter under her breath, the last line from that long quotation in my history book. Every gutter man, woman, and child will toil and struggle. And when they succeed, when they rise above their circumstances and redeem their place on this land, we will celebrate their toil and their labor. For the greatness of the country, we will shout. Am I from the gutter? I remember asking Mother. You were born in the gutter, but you live here, Elamina. You are as much a mainlander as I am. Then why do I have this scar? Because you are my special gift, because you are a gift to all of us. Then why does everyone hate me? I would say. And she would shrug her shoulders and hold her palms up like this was a mystery that we might never solve.